Hello and a very warm welcome to Bharata First. You're watching UPSC Corner with me, Frank Rausum Pereira. Since you're here, I would like to thank you for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. The links are in the description. Let me also take this opportunity to inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com for more details and register now. Experience a whole new way of gaining knowledge. All this information, along with some must-see recommendations, are in the description of the video. Please go through it. Well, it's that time of the week again where we meet a civil servant. And today I have a special guest on the program to talk about ecology, conservation, and what it means to live harmoniously with nature. She is a recipient of the Dr. Kalam Award for Innovation in Governance, a former techie who is now inspiring the youth to follow in her footsteps. It is a pleasure to welcome on the program the Deputy Director of the Chennai Zoo and Indian Forest Service Officer, Sudha Raman. Sudha, welcome to Bharata First.
Hello.
Very warm welcome, Sudha Raman, to the program, and it's a pleasure to have you here on Bharata First, and welcome.
Thank you so much for this warm welcome and a very detailed introduction about me.
So let's start with what made you think of a career in the Indian Forest Service. How did it all start, and what prompted you or pushed you in that direction?
Okay, that's really a very big story, I should say. I'm not sure if I'll be able to finish it. I'll be able to make it short. Okay, so let me start it this way. Okay, as you told already in the introduction, I was just working with Wipro, and that's when I thought I'll go behind my dreams, which was like, I wanted to be a doctor. So with the help of my in-laws and my husband, I made a thought of resigning my job and writing the entrance examinations to enter into JIPMA, because it was way back in 2007. So it was seen as something as, a very big sin, as if I was like committing a big sin. I was already an engineer who was working, who was getting a handsome salary, but still, like resigning and then joining it with the plus two students to like prepare for the entrance examination to join MBBS was like looked upon as something I was like committing the biggest mistake of my life. But still, I had the support of the family. I did not get the opportunity to do medicine when I finished my 12th grade. But then I got the opportunity with the support of my in-laws and my husband. So I thought I should be doing it. So that's the reason I had to quit my job. So I was preparing for MBBS just like any other medicine aspirant would be like doing. I I I was able to crack the examination, but because of some paper issues, domicility, I was not able to enter into JIPMA, though I just got selected for that. So that's when I thought I need to do something apart from this, because I thought, okay, maybe civil services. Civil services would be the right thing. So I had a child by then. He was already 1 year old. So I left, I happened to like leave him with my in-laws and then shifted to Chennai. Just like any other aspirant, I was preparing for the UPSC examination. And forest service, I never knew that there was something called as forest service, because I come from a very conservative background. I was really not exposed to what the city people were like exposed to. So when I was preparing for my civil service, I got to know that there was forest service examination. So I thought, let me apply, because this was something which was like interesting me from the childhood. So I thought, okay, let me write this exam too. So that's how I forest management and everything I just learned only during the training period. But it was the interest and the preparation for my civil service, which was really, I had a child, so I did not take a chance of like giving a second attempt. I had to get it in my first attempt. That was the only thing which kept me driving and hard towards it. So the efforts what I had put for the civil preparation, that's the thing which made me to clear this exam for the forest service. Those days it was like, two different exams. You don't have prelims, because I think I was the last batch with the old pattern. So we had to write AIMS examination for forest service directly, unlike the present system. So then you have the PT test, and then you get into the service after the interview, and yeah, that's the story. It was an accidental entry into this service, and then it is during the training I really got inspired, because you learn lots of things, and this is a service where you have about a very long period of training. In fact, than when compared to the other services, you have about almost 2 solid years of training we had. So the others do not have such a long duration of training. And in this, we also get a degree. I'm not sure if others are familiar. We get a degree which is equivalent to MSc Forestry. So the syllabus, whatever you prepare, it's not as a civil servant. You really do it as a MSc student. So you can now I can say that I'm a forester because I really have undergone this training. So that has been the course of my journey of turning from an engineer or a technical, a techie person into a forester.
That's such a lovely story and such an inspiring story as well, because I'm sure it will inspire not just women but mothers as well across the country about how you had to leave behind a 1-year-old child, and that must have been a really difficult time as well, but all worth it at the end of the day, because you are now serving the country and serving the country so very well. I mean, there are so many accolades to talk about, and let's go into them one by one. Let's first talk about Treepedia, and it's an app that you've developed, which has been taken forward as well in Tamil Nadu. Why don't we speak about that first?
Yeah, to talk about Treepedia, I told you already I was an engineer who did not know anything about forestry, and I just learned about entire thing about the forestry only during my training. So that was the inspiration for me to start something, because I felt that people who are dealing with trees, like farmers or institutions or any individual who love to plant trees, they do not really get the desired information what they are looking for. All they could get from internet is about the botanical features of the tree, the leaves of the shape, the flowers in this season. But then the forestry part of a tree is completely different. The agroforestry part of a tree is completely different. It's all about what it is the right season to plant a tree species, and what is the spacement you have to give between one tree and the other one, and what can be the possible intercrops which you can plant along with these trees, and when you can have your returns, from which year you will be starting to get your returns. And you have got several such questions which would really be running in the heads of the farmers, and many would be actually trying to find or replies to these questions. So that's when I thought that we need to take lab to land. You've got lots of research has been done on various tree species, and you've got enough of literature on it, but the farmer or the end user does not really get access to it. So that was a very thought of how this initiation of the Treepedia started during my training period itself. I had developed a small prototype using my experiences in my my work experience with the Wipro, and that's how it started, And then when I joined back my cadre of Tamil Nadu, when I just what to tell, like when this happened to reach to my senior officials, they were quite impressed with it, and then this really took a very big shape as Tamil Nadu Tripedia. So I'm also working on trying to expand this up, even beyond Tamil Nadu, because many have requested, can you just try to do this for my state? I'm also interested to know what might be the right tree which would be growing in my soil. These are all this you can talk about trees, you can talk about everything, but you need to be specific about choosing the right species which will be suited, which will be going well in your soil and in your particular climatic conditions. So this is something all about Treepedia. It's a single point where you can, if you are interested to plant a tree, just install this application. It will take you through from A to Z. So it's about the encyclopedia of the tree. That's why we named it as Treepedia.
Amazing, amazing, and such a scientific approach as well, so that you get all information and so many other aspects are taken into consideration. It's a holistic approach, really, to planting trees and understanding what trees will grow in your region. That's amazing. But I won't let you go without you talking about the Dr. Kalam Award for Innovation, and because this is what you received the
That was
award.
quite a surprise, I should say, because I never expected that this small thought of developing a application would be getting me such a big big award, because this is something which we all as a civil servant we look upon. Okay, it's something called as innovation, and I was just thinking this was just like a small thought which I had raised in my mind. I thought so, but then I should be really thankful to my senior officials because they really trusted me, and and they thought that the I would tell the small, seed would be really going into a bigger tree also. So I think it was higher foreseeing capacity which has helped me to develop this application into a bigger way, and which really got me a lot of accolades. That's the thing.
A small idea can really inspire and turn into something really big, and that is what Treepedia is. You were talking about taking it to other states and taking it beyond the borders of Tamil Nadu as well. How has it really helped with regards to the ecosystem and the farmers as a whole, Sudha?
Yeah, I think this was a very right question you put forth. See, I take this opportunity to tell the people. See, we are when you say about trees. So, what do you really, come up with? Many people would tell eucalyptus, mango, guava, coconut. Some people, they say popular trees, and these are the ones. But how many trees are indigenous to our country? Eucalyptus is not indigenous. Poplar is not indigenous. The species, I think the one what we are like using right now from a very large scale, everything, but we have got lot of indigenous species which are available in our country, which will give very good returns. But the thing is, many of us, we do not know we do not have that enough information about such trees, nor we are able to get that information in the social media across. So that is the main reason. First of all, you need to know, these days many people talk about tree planting, tree planting, tree planting. But I'll tell you something, not every trees will be growing at every site. You have got soil specific, you've got multiple factors for a tree to be growing successfully in your region. You've got agroclimatic conditions, you've got the soil conditions, and then various other factors are really important to be considered to choose the right tree species. And that is the main idea behind this, not just giving you an information about, about when you have to plant and when you have to harvest the trees, or it's not about that. You have a search engine inbuilt in the Treepedia. All you need to know is the soil type of your land. If you have a small land, you just need to know your soil type, enter the soil type, enter the location of that district. You will be I think the search engine will be running and it will be telling you what might be the right species which will be really growing well in your region. And this is the first and the foremost thing what everybody who is looking upon to like plant a large number of trees need to know. And this is really very important to what to tell, to have a successful tree farming or the agroforestry practices.
Absolutely, absolutely. The same concept can be replicated for crops as well, because in India we seem to have a major problem as far as water is concerned, and our crops are mainly water intensive. So we can use the
Exactly.
same kind of a thing for crops as well. That's an interesting and really, really good idea.
Thank you. I really wish that but that's we have got one more very big challenge is that
Mhm.
you need to allow a lot of information from the literature, because the literature is really vast, and what the information you're looking for will not be available at a single place. It really took us a very long time to collect the data and to filter it to what might be the expectation what the end user will be looking for. You need to you It really took us a long time, and that is the reason now when many put forth the question, if you can do this for this state and that state, I'm not able to reply because this is not something easy. You cannot just say it, okay, yeah, you can do it, but it's not just easy as you say it. Okay, it really involves a lot of data collection and then data filtering, and to know about the exact agroclimatic condition in every district to come up with this. So it's really a very big matrix actually.
Absolutely. Like you mentioned, it's an encyclopedia. It's like an encyclopedia for trees. The encyclopedia takes, years and decades to be developed, and it keeps being updated as well. So same is the case
Updated.
with this too. And, I'm sure it's a challenge, but it's a job very well done, a fine job that you're done really with Treepedia. And it's not just that, you've done so many other things as well. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about. I was just talking about water and how India is a water scarce country, and there's so much of water issues, especially even in Chennai, the city that you're in right now, has a major drinking water shortage, and we've seen that also coming up every year. But you've revived a water body in the Chennai Zoological Park. Tell us about that. How did you go about doing it? Because I know that it was completely dry, when you got there, but now it is revived.
Yeah, that was another interesting project which I happened to work at. I was working at the Chennai Zoo, and this was a lake which was which was seasonal. Whenever the rain comes, you have it was completely rain fed, and you will have a little bit of water, and it would be hardly for like 2 3 months. It would stay, and then it would be gone. And this was a place you've got India's biggest bird sanctuary also close by, which is Vedantangal. And this being very close by Vedantangal, you have lots of migrant birds visiting this lake as well. So when I happened to join the Arana Zoological Park, that's what is called as a Chennai Zoo. Okay, and this was the lake which was really feeding us water to the entire part of the entire requirement of the zoo as well. And any zoological park, we need lots of water as such, because we are just dealing with lots of the animals, and they do not like understand that we are water shortage, so save water, all those things they do not really understand. So they are in the captive environment still, and if you still save water with them, it's not going to work. They need to have enough of water for their routine and day-to-day survival. And this was a lake which was very important. And this was the shape when I happened to take charge of this place. And with the help of my senior officials, once again, we thought that we would take, because that year Chennai saw the most, the worst of the drought. Everywhere it was like water shortage everywhere. So we thought we'll rightly use up this opportunity. Therefore, in the upcoming monsoon season, will not let go of even a single drop of water without getting us giving us the right benefit what we could get out of it. So that was the challenge what we took up, and the entire team was working towards it. We thought we identified the drainage channels which fill up this lake. We cleared them up. We desilted the lake to maximum capacity it could store. And we thought, and we also planted some tree species which would be attracting or providing roasting habit, or roasting facility for those migrant birds, and also to provide small berries also. We just planted those species, and that's the process. That's the process, and we followed. We did it. We sorted it out meticulously. We thought, okay, this would be helping this way, and you've got a list of things to be done to revive a lake. Is not just an easy thing to be like just like that. It can't be done. We work behind, and we sort of plan as such. And then I think we completely we finished the work before the onset of the monsoons. Okay, and that year we had a very good rainfall. Northeast monsoon is the one which gives rainfall to the Chennai city, and we had a very good monsoon year that year. We utilized every maximum capacity of the rains, and that's how the lake really took its shape. And that was not the end of the success. Like once we finished and once the lake was full, we started receiving lots of migrant bird species. Earlier, the number of species were only 10 to 14 species as such, I'm talking about. But each species you've got, what to tell, about hundreds, thousands of birds which would be coming there. But back here, we saw about 20 species of birds which had come. It's almost like 6 to 7 species which we see for the first time. And at Spoker, we were really happy that the lake really took its shape, and we had enough of water for the for the requirement of the zoological park as well. So that's about the lake revival
Lake
story.
revival, amazing, amazing stories. So, just widening the scope a little bit, Sudha, let's talk about why water conservation is important for the environment and for the ecology as a whole.
Water conservation, as you all know, we are all dependent on water, and water is the elixir of the life. That's what you generally, it's a very famous saying. But then our requirement has really increased, and with the increasing urbanization and with increasing industrialization, the demand for water is really more. And what the only solution what we have is to suck out the groundwater. You suck out the groundwater, but you also need to work on recharging the groundwater. That's where we all really we forgot, maybe our entire generation forgot about that concept. And we have a saying that the resources what we use now is something what we are borrowing it from the future generation. So you have the responsibility of like helping these resources to the future generation as well. So that's what, as an individual, as a person, as a city dweller, if in city or in a urban place, just make sure that we have some system of recharging the groundwater. We have the government of India was like propagating a very famous program, rainwater harvesting program, which got propagated maybe a decade back. But now, how many of our places have got rainwater harvesting system, which is really working? We have got at so many places, and any small residences we see they have it, but still it's not made functional. We need to make it functional. If even a small drop of water which gets into the ground, will be definitely helpful towards towards the recharging of the groundwater levels. So apart from this, as you all know, forest is the major source of water what we get right now. We've got small streams, major which connects, which runs into a major rivers and then charge them up. And we need to focus on, we need to turn our attention towards forest. We've got lots of water conservation activities which can be taken up in the forest. For example, check dam construction, even small dams which can be constructed at the upper end and the catchment region will definitely be able to help us to recharge and to conserve the water. And if we are not doing it right now, almost half of our country had already faced the worst side of the drought. We see what are the bad effects of drought. We see many farmers are getting affected, and many wildlife they come to the nearby village in search of water, which ultimately raises the human animal wildlife. Sorry, the human wildlife conflicts are getting raised because of that. Unless and until you take this up as a important issue and start working on it, I think it's really going to get serious.
And my final set of questions for you in the last segment before I let you go. I know you have a very busy schedule and two young ones to take care of as well. So, was it easy or a difficult switch to make from a techie to getting into the life of a forest officer?
This is again, I think, the most difficult question to tell you. To be really frank, it was really not that difficult for me. As I have told you, you would have seen that I have been repeating that I have been getting the support of my senior officers, because that trust factor is something what the young civil servant, whoever joins the department would definitely be needing it. Once you know that you have the support, or when the system is in favor, when the system is ready to listen to you, that's when the person will really be motivated to think and will be able to work. So I was really fortunate to be in such an environment in the Tamil Nadu Forest Department. So I think it was not really, I did not have much of a difficulty in this transition between a technical corporate world into a government system. But ultimately, it all depends upon the individual as well. Okay, the individual should be able to adapt to the environment wherever he or she is. I think that the flexibility and the sooner you get adapted, I think it's better. You'll you'll just go with the flow. Uh, so that's the thing I think which helped me to go through. Uh, but I did not, as I said already, I did not face much of difficulty in this transition. I still keep my mind open and think what to tell. As I was doing in with my work at Wipro, thinking out of box, I still do the same, thinking out of box in the government system too.
Amazing, amazing. And what is it that you love about your job? What is it that you would like to share with us, and say that this is awesome?
The very word forest is it not awesome, because this is something where people who work in IT or in any other one day off or a weekend, you'll all run to a forest or a hill area where you go just feel, get yourself relaxed, run for a vacation. But we all work in such an environment where everyone come for vacation. That's something what recharges. Well, it takes where you feel low. Okay, but when you go into the forest and you smell fresh air and see lots of birds and butterflies and small insects flying around you, you naturally get recharged. And this is something what I really love about my job.
Yeah.
You really, you don't need a motivational factor as such, because the job itself is like a motivational factor for you to keep you driving. So that's really the amazing part of the Indian Forest Service.
No, no, you had us all at Forest. There was, that there's nothing else that you need. Just the word forest is more than enough. Like you so aptly and so rightly put it. Finally, before I let you go, what would you like to say to youngsters who would want to follow in your footsteps?
Okay, I see a lot of youngsters keep questioning me about what is forest service. Do you really work in forest, sit there and all that, and how to prepare for UPSC, and they keep putting forth lots of questions. I have one simple answer to them. Okay, if you are really thinking that civil service is your passion or dream, whatever you call it, if you are really working, think that if you are, what to tell, if you're really serious about it, work hard. Only hard work will be able to help you crack this examination. And you need to be working, you need to be thinking, out of box. I was rightly there, I was saying with respect to my work, you need to work very hard and go on the right path towards it. And you know that you don't need anybody to tell you this is the right path. When you're in the path, you'll have a feeling that you're going right. So just keep going, chase your dreams. You'll have lots of challenges, but you'll have to sacrifice a lot for it. But the sacrifices you make is worth for it. Okay, because I keep hearing people, I'm working, will I be able to do, will I be able, you've got lots of people who clear these examinations who are like working, almost 10 to 12 hours in big IT companies. They were like working, but still they were able to crack this examination. So the person, if you want to tell, if you want to find an excuse, you keep finding an excuse, but never find. But when your dream is really strong and you are running towards it, keep running, just go. I think you'll be able to succeed. This is something what I would like to tell. And second thing, forest service is not about forest alone. You've got lots of other, a very big spectrum on which we keep working. We do not sit in forest and work, first of all. Okay, this is something an illusion what most of them they have, that we work only in the forest areas. We have got lots of other areas to work as well. These days, climate change is picking up, and our state governments and the central government is working towards addressing this climate change, and multiple projects are like coming in. We also deal with such projects, and the environment is one such area where we also work with environment departments as well in so many states. And forest is not just always a dense forest. We have got different types of lands, and you've got lots of people who are like linked with the forest. You've got forest fringe areas too. So we keep supporting them. We keep supporting the livelihoods of those people who are dependent on forest. So we've got so many. As I was telling you, we've got a spectrum of areas where we keep working. So that's about the forest service. I really wish that this interview would be helping a lot of people to know what sort of work we just do in the Indian Forest Service. I hope it really inspires them. Thank you.
I'm sure it will. Thank you so very much for joining me on the program and having such an open conversation with us really about your work and everything that you do. Really a pleasure having you here on UPSC Corner on Bharata First. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Frank. See you.
Well, before I go, once again, I would like to thank you for your continued support. For those of you who haven't already subscribed, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. Do subscribe to our newsletter as well to get some incisive content. The Bharata First team runs a big picture quiz. Please participate by going through the description in big picture videos. If you like our content, please contribute to keep it alive. The links are in the description. Let me also take this opportunity to inform you about Bharata First Knowledge Center, an initiative that will help each one of you in your competitive exams and transform the way you learn. Go to kc.bharatafirst.com for more details and register now. Experience a whole new way of gaining knowledge. All this information along with some must-see recommendations are in the description of the video. Please go through it. That's it from me. See you again next time.